Absolutely, we are very punctual. What do you guys think? Do you need a mic for me? How's the voice? Go either way. All right, I can pull it up. We're nice and close. But yes, thank you for the warm welcome, Anne, and thank you all for the opportunity to come speak today. I'll be talking about our fire recovery efforts on behalf of LA County permitting team. So focus primarily on permitting today. So my name is Kira Barnett, and I'm an assistant deputy director with LA County Public Works. And again, I'm leading recovery efforts for the Eden and Palisades fires. All right, so I think first it's always important to acknowledge the scale of this natural disaster. I think we've been talking about that a lot over the last couple of days. But really, 40,000 acres of land burned, which resulted in the loss of about 9,400 homes on the Eden side and another 6,800 on the Palisades side. So the impacts were significant losses of life, property, as well as economic losses and employment losses. So early in this response, in the response phase, right, we're still dealing with the response and the areas were secured, we knew very quickly that business as usual was not going to allow us in permitting to meet this great need while we maintained our permitting services for the rest of LA County. So one of the first things we did is back on February 13th and 14th of last year is we called in building industry. So we reached out to all the architects, engineers, contractors who had done work in LA County, and we invited them in to talk about our permit processes and really tell us, what was working well, what was not, where pain points were. Let's talk about innovations, right? Well, what are the building industry's idea of things we could do to help streamline and facilitate this kind of level of permit response. And so we actually opened that up for an in-person session, filled up within an hour with a few hundred people. So we did 2 more sessions the next day. And we have a great post-event report from that if any of you guys are interested. But it was really great to connect with building industry early and great to be back here with you all now, a year later. But yeah, really, this effort of fire recovery is really requiring participation and collaboration at all levels of government across our county departments, and it's really facilitated great public-private collaborations and partnerships. So let's move on here today. So today I'll share an overview of some of our recovery permitting efforts, highlight some of the pilots and programs that we've stood up under this emergency declaration to streamline permitting processes and to provide options to homeowners. So I really say in normal times, people decide to build, they plan to build and they dream of building, but really in fire recovery, people don't know, hey, if I take this on, what does this mean, right? What does permitting look like? What does it mean to rebuild? And so one of the first things we did was make sure that we had a coordinated joint information center so that we could unify our messaging and just provide clarity, right? Clarity and certainty to so many folks, again, who never imagined seeing themselves in this position. And so obviously, one of the first steps in fire recovery was to get rid of all that fire debris, the fire ash and debris. And so Public Works worked with Army Corps of Engineers, and they were hoping to complete that mission this month. They were hoping to do that within a year of the fires, and it was amazing that that was done, and they had walked away by August. And so an incredible, really fast fire debris removal program, and the hope is that we can accommodate permitting with the same kind of speed, efficiency, and safety, while balancing safety. So one of the first things that we did is open up one-stop permit centers within the areas of the disaster. So for the Altadena area, for example, it's about a 30-minute drive to where the office that would serve them for permitting, but really important that we got all the players in the same space. So again, business as usual. You come into a Public Works office, we refer you over to another city to go see fire, downtown to see planning. And so what we did right away is open these one-stop permit centers where we could provide in-person guidance. We've had consultation appointments this whole year. So again, normal times in the building department, people are in the building process, but again, here a lot of homeowners needing to know, right, if I take this on, what does it mean? Having a lot of those early questions and trying to bring them certainty. So those one-stop permit centers include staff from all our permitting departments and other agencies. And again, that's been a great way to be in the community providing that support. For LA County, we also formed a unified permit authority coordinate across our county departments. And so that helps if there's, to resolve conflicts, to decide the workflow, and really set up how we would work together to serve permitting for private properties. We've rolled out together various tools, programs, and we continue to host these rebuilding together workshops about specific topics and bring timely, relevant permitting information to folks. And then we've developed a lot of videos and handouts and guidance documents to help residents understand the rebuilding process and build faster and more efficiently. And we all have, all the permitting departments have fire recovery disaster teams, and we've all committed to expedited reviews. So for fire recovery projects, we commit to 10 business days for initial reviews for plan check and 5 business days for additional reviews. And then for inspections, we will get out there within 48 hours. We'll try for next day. That's our commitment for inspections. But again, one of the first things we wanted to do, you see on the right-hand side of the screen, is lay out for people so they could understand what are the steps of permitting, right? If I do this, what does it mean? It did start with debris removal, which thankfully is behind us, and then obviously preparing your plans, submitting them to zoning. We do have people submit to planning first, so they can say what they're going to build and where before they invest in the structural design, the energy design, and then submit to the rest of the county departments where we all review concurrently. Then obviously it goes into the construction stage. After clearances and plan approvals are obtained, we inspect all stages of construction, and then of course we're looking forward to the move-in. But again, we developed these one-pagers, a more detailed one-pager, and then even a website that people can click through to understand better these steps along their process. But another major thing that we did is come up with a single permit for rebuilds. So in normal business or business as usual at the county, people again file an application with planning, they get a particular number, an RPP, they come to building department, they get another number, an application, fire department, same thing, public health, same thing. So for fire rebuilds, we now have a unified permit where they come in, file one application with the county, planning review it first. Once they clear it, develop full building plans, and then we internally coordinate and route to each other the full package so that that burden isn't on the applicant to go from department to department and coordinate our reviews. All right. There's been a lot of local, state, and this week, federal executive orders about permitting. And so one of the pages that we set up, I'll be talking about our website briefly, but it's really, what is different in rebuilding? What are the policies, interpretations? So for example, for fire rebuilds under the emergency declaration, planning have it that you can have an accessory dwelling unit, so you can have a standalone ADU before you have your house. Right, so in normal times you can have an accessory structure to it without the main structure, but again, for fire rebuilds, that's a little bit different. So you can have an ADU standalone for a number of years if that helps with the recovery process. The permit timelines are longer. So usually if you pull a permit, there's a certain amount of days and then it expires, but that was extended drastically to 3 years. I'll also say our Board of Supervisors did do fee deferrals. So for eligible property owners, if they owned and lived in their home before the fires, they don't pay plan review or inspection fees with any of the permitting departments. So again, different ways that we're facilitating, helping meet the gap for folks who maybe, underinsured, uninsured, cost this much to build, have this much money, every way that we can, streamline and then reduce these costs. So the governor had an order, executive order last July, for example, where solar panels don't have to be installed for rebuilds, but then the projects do need to be solar ready. And so then of course, what does solar ready mean, right? So we, again, form these documents and say, hey, this is the implementation of this executive order. This is what solar ready requirements are. And then the same executive order did suspend the need to comply with our code updates. So I don't know if there's any building industry folks in the room, but we have a 3-year code cycle. So we had a new code take effect on January 1st of this year. So again, with everything, all the activity on permitting, the governor decided again, projects can continue to be built to the 2023 LA County Building Code. However, they do need to comply with the new fire code that's going to take effect here in a few months. And then there's some flood elevations and other exemptions. So again, we developed implementation guides on those. We also had some local code suspensions. So very early, back in January of last year, the Board of Supervisors had a motion to evaluate what codes could be suspended, to streamline permitting, reduce costs, And so there are some things that were implemented in Eaton, such as not needing SOLS reports for fire rebuilds unless they're in a geological fault zone, some EV ready requirements suspended for single family homes, cool roof, gray water ready plumbing requirements. And so some of the properties that were older and built before 2009, suspending the LID requirements for residential rebuilds. All right, and then already before this disaster, planning had a like-for-like concept. So what that allows for is if somebody is building back essentially the same structure in substantially the same location, they can keep any kind of non-conforming setbacks or non-conforming situations. I even say if they accidentally had unpermitted additions, right, they can put back whatever they had basically, and we're gonna make sure that it complies with all the codes as far as building, fire, public health. So that like-for-like concept has changed over time. It started with you can increase the size, height by 10%. But we realized on the Altadena side, many of the homes are smaller, and so what we did is 10% or 200 square feet, whichever is bigger. So again, providing flexibility for folks. So again, to meet new requirements and have wider doorways, or it was about 60% of the homes in Altadena were built in the 1940s or before. So you can imagine quite a number of code updates since then. So this kind of like-for-like concept, allowing some increase in square footage and height, provides for some flexibility, allows for faster approval times, and again, keeping those non-conforming conditions, but now designed safely and to code. So at LA County, we were fortunate to already have an online permitting software called Epic LA. So we had this even before COVID. So when in COVID, felt very fortunate that we could process permits and plan reviews electronically. So Epic LA is still with us and very helpful for this disaster as well. We brought on all the permitting departments. I believe it was only public health that didn't have access, but now we're all in the same system where people can apply in person or online. And then again, the system will track their permitting, plan check, and inspections. So we do encourage all property owners to create an application and monitor their projects so they can really see the progress, download the attachments, see when there's activities on their plans. So that was one that was existing, but a newer tool that we have is an AI e-check pilot. So for fire rebuilds, we have this ArchiStar program that allows homeowners or architects or engineers or designers to upload their plans to this screening tool before they submit to the county. So the idea there is it runs through the zoning requirements. It has some fire life safety that I can dig in more. I think there's lots of interest around AI where it is today. So there's some building fire life safety elements, but the idea here is run your plans through first, so you can be alerted to potential issues, get a more complete plan set, so that when you submit to the county, there's less back and forth reviews. But yeah, I was so fascinated myself, right? I like ChatGPT, it changes as fast as I can know what it accomplishes, so kind of fun to know where AI plan check is today. And so again, I'll leave that for the questions if you guys have questions on that. But that is, and we actually tomorrow have a Rebuilding Together workshop on this ArchiStar program. So it's a free webinar, 10 to 12, if anybody's interested. It'll be the City of LA, County of LA, and ArchiStar demonstrating that program for both the public and for building industry. All right, and so I'll highlight again a couple of the pilot programs that we have in the interest of time. One of the options that I think has been phenomenal that we've been able to expand pre-approved plans pilot program. So what this program allows is designers, design builders can submit their plans to the county. They can get them approved by planning and by building. And then we have a catalog that we keep of these plans so that if an owner elects to use them, all they really have to do is a site adaptation. So to me, I'm a condo dweller. I can't imagine the pressure of the decisions you have to make in design. So again, not for everybody, but if somebody's speed is more their priority and they don't want to take on design, it really does cut that entire design process for them. And then of course, with us, it's a faster process because now we're just really doing the site adaptation. The plans are substantially approved already. And so again, this provides an option. We have over 101 pre-approved plans in our catalog. 15 now utilizations have been issued, but really hoping this fast track again grows more and more. And so in December, we launched an interactive mapping tool with this company called Can I Build? So there's a screenshot of it there, but really what you get to do is type in an address, and what it'll do is pull up those pre-approved plans and let you know which ones would fit on that lot. So the zoning requirements are all in there for setbacks, for lot coverage, for height. And what it does is it lets you place the structure on your property and move it around, and it'll kind of alert if you're getting into setbacks, if this one fits, doesn't fit. You can filter it by different things, size, number of beds, baths, who the designer is. Some of them are design plans, so you can have your own contractor come along and use these plans. Others are design builders, so again, if you want to come in, take a pre-approved plan for that, and those have pricing associated with it. So a really great way, again, to connect people with these resources. And again, that visualization, I think, again, I'm not great myself at visualizing after how many years looking at plans, but really helps people kind of, lay out the structure. So again, a great tool, and again, the website is on here on the slides. I can certainly share it with you. But if you need a sample address or something, I can get you that so you can kind of play around with the tool. But that's been very exciting. We've had over 2,000 people already log in with unique addresses. It basically lays the floor plan on the property, like I said, so you can start to visualize. Another pilot program that we're doing for fire rebuilds is self-certification. And what this program allows for is California licensed architects or engineers can register with the county, and then they get to self-attest that their plans meet the code, so then they don't have to go through a full building plan review. So they do still go through all the other agency clearances, fire approval, planning approval, public health if they're on septic, and in the building department, we still will do a comprehensive screening. So we're going to make sure there's no site issues with fire-resistant construction, slopes, easements. We'll maybe take a look at the structural plan and make sure we see lateral resisting elements on all sides, but we're not going to go through the analysis once they're self-certified. But then, of course, we do have our inspectors going out at all stages of construction and inspecting that work. So we've had over 90 professionals certify with us, register with us to self-certify. And this is an old slide. We're up to 45 projects have been, structures have been issued with self-certified plans. All right, so I wanted to highlight again just some of the plan check. Actually, this is definitely after jumping on me, or maybe not. So I wanted to highlight some of the plan check elements that we have without going through them all, but we have other things that we've done is really try to help facilitate. We've seen a lot more activity around prefab structures. So we came up with user-friendly guides, right? What are manufactured homes, mobile homes, factory-built housing? What is the process for those kinds of projects? We've had a number of house relocations where people have picked up historical homes in another jurisdiction, picked it up, put it on a truck, and brought it over. They've all been in Altadena so far. So we have a process for home relocation projects. We develop bundle projects, for example, which is where we might have a developer who doesn't normally do single-family lots, right? But again, we know we need all hands on, right, to really meet this need again. So the thought was, if we do these bundle projects, so okay, you're a developer who'd usually do multiple structures, what if you could bundle your projects so maybe they're not next door to each other, but if they're in the same community, same design team, could you do a bunch of, let's say 10 homes at the same time, where you could still kind of go through, get some certainty in your reviews, consistency in your reviews, assign leads, and then most importantly, having that goal to issue them together so that you could phase, right, your pouring of concrete and your framing, and kind of, bring in, again, some larger developers who, again, maybe might not do single family homes. So lots of different efforts. I want to highlight, again, some of the plan check ones, because really this last year and these last 6 months, most of our activity has been plan review. But we are definitely moving towards more and more construction. So we're still seeing high volumes of plan submittals, plan check. Now we're moving towards more inspections and more construction. So queuing up John for just a little bit after me, I wanted to highlight, for example, one thing we've done with inspections is we've done extended construction hours. So in LA County, it's generally 7 to 7, Monday through Saturday, when you can do construction work. But public health issued a variance that allows for work on Sundays, and then also extended an additional hour in the evening. So we'll be, we're talking to community about that, because we went out and surveyed the community. Of course, people who live right in the standing homes, it's a big impact to them. So a lot going around there, but just an example of what we're doing now that we're shifting over to seeing more construction. And then we wanted to make sure that fire rebuilds are also aware that we do allow virtual inspections at LA County. And so generally, we find virtual inspections are kind of for the mechanical, electrical, solar, things that you can kind of see. We do it on iPads, tablets, whatever platform works for an owner, contractor. And we do find it can save time, right, on scheduling inspections, having to wait on site for an inspector. And then we find it's most used for re-inspections, right? So an inspector goes out, sees a deficiency in the fields, somebody emails over pictures or does this call. I will say virtual inspections can have great benefit, like in our North County where people really our inspectors are even driving far between sites. Obviously with the fire recovery, that's very localized, our inspectors are nearby. So that's probably one of the biggest time savings, but still an option in fire recovery. So again, I'll wrap up here with 2 more slides. One is just our website. So we, again, wanted to house our information in one place. So in normal times, right, go to planning and get this document, come over here and find fires, map and, go to Public Works to get these instructions. So we have this recovery.lacounty.gov site where there's a rebuilding page that again includes videos, handouts, policies and interpretations page where you can kind of monitor what's new. For example, wood burning fireplaces, right? People can't have wood burning fireplaces, but rebuilds can have them back replacement, like, 1 for 1. But again, how do you know this information? So we have one primary source of information, recovery.lacounty.gov. And again, if you remember one thing and you want to play around with it, that's where I would recommend. But I will make sure I leave plenty of time. I haven't seen any warnings, but I think we're okay on time so far. But I just will end with our progress where we were. This was actually on the weekends, on Sunday, but we have this live dashboard updates a number of times a day. And so this one, if you look on the top there, you can tab between both, either Eaton Fire, Palisades Fire, or both. So this is for both fires. We have almost 3,000 applications that have been received to the county for rebuilds. Regional planning have cleared 2,600 of those. And again, people come into planning, what can I build and where, what use, right, does this fit on my lot? Then they develop their full building plans, their structural, their energy. So over 2,000 properties have come in with the full building plans. We've approved 1,600 building plans, and that includes 1,000 as of yesterday, 1,048 new residential building plans have been approved. Then sometimes people are still working on financing or identifying a builder, waiting for a builder. So we have 1,300 that have been issued permits, and then interestingly, only about half of them have actually called for early inspection. So we kind of track whether they call for that underfloor plumbing or location and setbacks. But again, we do know there's still financing issues and things that are preventing people even when they have their permits from starting construction. But amazingly, these were actually all in December. We have 7 homes that are already completed, and 2 of those are accessory dwelling units. Our very first one was a retired contractor. His home was standing, lost his garage, and so what he did is replace the garage with an accessory dwelling unit for his son. So that was our very first one that got done, but then very quickly after that, we had a few single-family homes that are already complete. Some again were retired contractors or people in the industry, but I will say the first gentleman who is not in the industry and finished his home. I don't know if any of you guys saw his story. He has a dog, Daisy Mae. He's 14 years old, a golden retriever, and he would if I'm building this home for this dog, my contractor, if the home's not done, I'm walking away and you're not getting paid. So they said they would take 8 to 12 months to build this home, and they were done in 4. They worked 7 days a week, but just a really incredible story, and again, just tremendous for people to be done. I think there's a lot of attention on only how many projects are done, but when we look back on this year on the impacts to residents and being displaced, like having to reestablish, repopulate their lives, find schools, deal with the debris removal, deal with their insurance companies, mortgage companies, engage an architect and engineer, prepare the plans. For 3,000 to be in already, yes, there's much more work to come. You can see there on top, it's 6,571 in unincorporated area of Altadena. So again, close to 50% already in, pretty tremendous. You can see on the top right there, it's taken about 95 days on average from when people apply to when they pull their permit. but that does include, again, the time for design plans, right? So they submit to planning, that's when they start. Once they get their clearance, develop those engineering plans, back and forth in reviews. Sometimes they're, again, waiting at the end where they're just, finalizing clearances or securing funding. And so again, we have lots of data you can click over. I don't have the slides here, but plans in review, kind of see, where are they in the process, permits and construction, where are they in that process. But just, coming in with the little progress update. And then, of course, just a couple of visuals. When I go to the areas now, you can't look up and down the street and not see a building and framing and hear construction noises. So when we have gone to celebrate with these early residents finishing their jobs, one gentleman actually talked about how he likes to sit on his new porch and drink a coffee, and the sounds of construction to him are beautiful, like music and progress, and just such a beautiful way to hear it, because I think most of us will hear that nailing, right? How does anybody live near this? But just really, really inspirational to go up there now and see, where we were this time last year. And again, from getting the lots cleared brought a lot of hope, getting that debris out of there. But again, a lot of early construction, so you can see some images here of some early framing projects. So just wanted to end with that message of hope and open it up for questions.
So Kira will take some questions as we transition.
And John, do you want to sit here?
Scoot
over to you while we.
So I know some of the folks in the audience are not from the LA area, so can you explain what LA County incorporates and?
Absolutely, yes. So Los Angeles County, we actually have 80 incorporated cities, including the city of LA. And so where I work then is the unincorporated areas. So we have pockets all over LA County, but we go from up in Lancaster, Palmdale, all the way down to the beach. And so we have unincorporated areas. So for the Palisades fire, we lost about 700 homes in the unincorporated area. And so the majority there is in the city of Los Angeles. And there's also about 700 in city of Malibu. So on the Palisades side, you have, again, for recovery, it could be in the city of LA, city of Malibu, or unincorporated LA County. So we have Sunset Mesa, we have areas of the Santa Monica Mountains. And then on the Altadena side, where the Eaton fire was, we have Altadena, that's all unincorporated. And then we have some city of Pasadena that lost some homes as well. And there was some damage in the city of Sierra Madre. So yeah, does that help? Yep. Nail it a bit.
I think we can take one more question. Anybody?
I was actually curious, the permit process. You mentioned pre-approved permit plans for new construction, single family homes.
Yeah.
So you had over 100. So were these are these strictly for the fire rebuild? So if I was to buy a piece of land, I couldn't just go through the catalog and say, I want to build that house and put it right, or could
It could still help you connect with that designer, but don't forget the requirements when we're looking at the planning and the building. So like first seismic requirements can change, right, based on
but everything else is still the same. So they're categorized. So if you're in a certain area size, certain seismic requirement, you can build one of these 30 houses.
Yeah. So we have it as a pilot program for the fire area. So planning specifically would change the most, right, as you move from city to city, right, with different planning requirements. So it is a pilot program for the fire burn areas, but there is actually an assembly bill that's looking at expanding.
Yeah, we have something similar, easy permit standard call. Usually it's a lower scale of renovations, retaining walls, maybe a deck, accessory decks or structures, but nothing to the scale of a single family position, because we have row homes, townhomes, it's all the same thing between each one.
Yeah, so we had it, the state had it actually for accessory dwelling units. So we already had standard plans, we call them for accessory dwelling units. So all of California, there's the option for standard plans for accessory dwelling units, but again, this was expanding it now to single family homes.
Interesting.
Yeah.
It's great. I think we're gonna turn
Just
it
a
over
quick
to.
follow.
Can we just hold it
Yeah.
after? Sorry.
There'll be more time and then I can meet you after too about it.
I'm gonna hand it over to John.
I go by Jack.
Jack, sorry.
Jack John. Okay, so my name is Jack Flanagan with the City of Philadelphia. I have here a senior building inspector with me, Van Neal. So the City of Philadelphia, I want to give you an idea of what we deal with outside of any kind of disaster. This is just what we look like in a year's time. The City of Philadelphia is 142 square miles. We have almost 700,000 separately deeded parcels in that footprint, okay? We have 5 inspection districts with 39 building inspectors covering all that area. We typically have more than that, but I'll go into later on what the problem with that is. Each one of our inspectors right now are 35. These are people on site. We're averaging 730 main permits. That doesn't include standalones or child permits. These are buildings, commercial and or residential, so it presents a problem. Of that, when you factor in the child permits and the standalones, go ahead, that's what we did. We're processing between 90 and 100,000 inspections annually every year. So we're pretty busy. So good. Next one. In 2018, going up to 21, we had a program called the 10-year tax abatement for new construction. It created a building boom for us from 2018 to 21. 10 years, no taxes on the improvement to the land, everybody was building. So it created a boom for us. Go ahead. We have an inspector training program of our own. We train our own people, but it's a 9-10 month process, and it becomes very costly outside of what their salaries and benefits. It runs us about $45,000 a person to get them through that 10 months and certified. The next one is employee retention. This is a sore spot for us because we're surrounded by 7 very large counties, and none of them have their own training programs. So you know where they're getting their inspectors from. We were at about 70, we're down to 35. And then coronavirus and social distancing, right in the middle of our boom, or right toward the tail end of it, and it went sideways crazy. So we had to come up with a solution real fast. And that was the implementation of the remote inspection unit. This is where all our new technologies come through, and it started with, it's a technology-based approach to construction inspections. Our first step in this was to go virtual. We have a catalog of permits that automatically come to this unit. If you're doing anything that goes into the catalog, our inspection districts don't even see them, they come right to us. You get 1-2 inspections and you're done. You're live streamed all of them. We went live in 23. And by the end of 24, we completed 10,000 virtual inspections. I'll take 2 inspectors. So it was a very aggressive, and it was good for us. So where are we going beyond the virtual? Education and training. We also implemented a pilot program for our own apprenticeship. We take kids that came out of high school, they're in shop class. We'll take for 2 years and then let them take our building inspector test. They take the test. If they qualify, pass the test, we're going to move them into our inspector training program. The hybrid inspection process. Our unit now is doing some single family homes, trying to find a quick way to do these. Our districts are census tract based. It means an inspector might spend 20%, maybe 30% of his time traveling between sites. We have a lot of area. We can drop inspectors on a site. If you have 10, 12 homes being done in an area, I can drop an inspector there for a day or 2. Our district should say you can get 2 framings in a day, I'll give you 9 in a day. So we do that with the on sites. Then we have unique locations, pharmaceuticals, airports, and docks. You need further education than a building inspector to get to these locations. The pharmaceutical companies, Philadelphia has a lot of pharmaceutical companies, and you have to go through clean rooms, which means you're putting on protective gear just so you don't contaminate the space. And you have to clear security. That's usually a 25 to 35 minute process before you even look at the work. And it doesn't include your travel time. We had a call for assistance at a pharmaceutical company 15 minutes after we received the call. We contacted, no, we contacted the contractor immediately. 15 minutes after we received the call, the inspection was completed. We did it virtually. The contractor inside that location asked if he has to deal with the area inspectors anymore. Yes, you do. Sorry. So unique locations, and this year in 2026, we're going into drones and streaming devices. Very exciting for us. We're putting together the drone program. Our police and emergency management are already using those systems. We're gonna start live streaming because we use a software product that's very specific to construction inspection, and it also allows us to take that video stream and port it out to 12 different locations, which is exciting for us. In the event of a catastrophic event, we could be feeding information to the fire department, police department, emergency management, all the entities that have to be introduced. So this is a 26 project. We're looking into that now. The streaming devices, we're looking at helmet cameras. I could put an inexperienced inspector out there and be watching everything he does. Every time that helmet moves, I see it. So I could be conducting, ease my camera on sites now, or on my apprentices. So we did, because of the time difference between Philadelphia and Orange County, we had some inspections we were hoping to live stream, but our construction stage closed in at 5, 6 o'clock and everybody else's. So we have some videos we're gonna share. We have 2, and then we're gonna live stream to the inspector that did them for us, who's sitting in our headquarters right now waiting for us. So this is typical, over here on the framing of what we see in the live stream. We send you through our application. We launch an application from within your permit. Launch it. So this is what we're seeing. We direct the camera holder. It can be the contractor, it can be anybody they want. They should know the difference between their right and left hand. And we ask them to stop. We're looking, we see some strapping there. We're looking at the plumbing. We don't do framing inspections virtually. That's not an option, but we chose this to just spark the imagination. Someday it may be possible. Today, I don't believe it is safe. So we stop them at any point in time. We can take still pictures or upload a series of 30 or 3-minute videos, multiples up to their permit, and they're automatically logged in. When we stop the inspection and say, hold on for a minute, I want to take a picture, that picture is automatically loaded up into the software product and attached to the permit. So we can go to the second video now. We're going to go after this one. Every day we deal with site safety. You're responsible. We're in a very dense area. Of our 70,000 properties, there's 40,000+ row homes. This is an outside plumbing dig that was done, and the video was sent to me to review because it was a newer inspector out there. It was great that we saw it, but we're going to talk to him later on because there were some things I saw in the video that I wasn't real happy about, but I want to ask him questions. The freeze up here. They have an excavation there, a man in there. It looks to be 5, 6 feet deep, and I don't see the shoring. He's also on the pavement. I don't see a second excavation in the street. I want to know where the mains are, the sewer and the water. And that excavation on the sidewalk, when this is made safe at the end of the day, that sidewalk is still in play. It's a pedestrian walkway. They did not pull a permit to close that sidewalk off after they're done working for the day. So at this point, I'm gonna let Van, I'm gonna take some questions, but he's gonna set the virtual progress inspection on so we can talk to our inspector who did these today. We have some questions from him, but based on what you saw now, do you have some questions while he queues up the inspection that we're gonna see? Yes?
Yeah, I'm from Pennsylvania too, Westchester, so I want to know which,
We're neighbors.
which location has the highest concentration of inspections around Philadelphia, which portion?
It depends. Downtown, of course, is our big buildings, and it's a special kind of inspector. We're now in the 65-story category. We have just hundreds of thousands of square foot of big buildings down there. We also have to deal with homes down there that are 200 year plus for an old city, and they're sprinkled in there, and we deal with them. Some of the older neighborhoods, this is out in West Philadelphia. These neighborhoods were probably developed in the 30s. West Philadelphia, South Philadelphia, the river wards, but the northeast part was very interesting. That was farmland all the way up into the Second World War. And then everything broke loose, and that's a little bit over 50% of the city we know today. We've just kept incorporating more and more land, much like LA did back in the day. We were growing all the way up until, I think, probably the fifties when we're still growing as a city. So the Northeast has a lot. We have areas where they're, I'm gonna use the term gentrifying. We have two areas where a lot of homes are being dropped, put up new modern construction, and a lot of younger people are flocking to those areas. We see a lot of construction in them. So, yes.
Love the training program, and I love the fact that, you know, you're creating that workforce. Your neighbors obviously love that you have a training program and you're creating the workforce. Have you guys thought about, you know, the fact that they should be paying into that to expand that
We
program?
explored the possibility of turning our training program into a training academy and opening it up to the tri-state area. And for us, that would be Philadelphia. We refer to ourselves like a state. Delaware, New Jersey, and Philadelphia. So yes, if we can get to the point of training.
Well, I can elaborate a little bit more on that answer. So with our training, we're rebuilding. We've had a few tragedies over the last couple of years. We've had some task force. We had a task force that did a complete evaluation of our whole process, what we do, and we established that we needed to do something. Everything came to the training that we don't have. So we're currently in a position of rebuilding the training team. That's going to be, we're almost there. We're going to get the whole team together. We're starting with our new class coming up soon. We're piloting just 10 inspectors just so we can get the new, with Jackson and stuff. We want to do some training, incorporate it, and same thing with the local schools and so forth. So that is absolutely the plan you're saying. We're looking to put, and we have, you know, our mayor has been great. She's very supportive of all these things. So we want to increase that a lot. We want to put a lot of resources in there. And like Jack was saying, we do lose a lot to the surrounding counties, and our police department's the same way. I think they lose like 30% of their cadets. It takes a year for a police cadet, right? Graduation, they lose like 30%. All over the country, they come in, they're like, oh, come work for us, we'll pay you more. And of course, they're gonna make more money somewhere else than Philadelphia because that county where it doesn't have, you know, 10,000 police officers, traditional employees, so they can give them a higher salary. So how they combat it is with their attrition is with volume. They just train more people, knowing that they're going to lose 30% of graduation. That's not the model. We haven't had that model. We just kept, we just lost another 10 people. What are we going to do? All right, well, we'll hire 10 people, and then we go through the training program, and then we lose 8 next year. We're not the place to bid up. We have to think bigger, higher volume, and that's what we're going to do. And that's what Jack's saying, open it up eventually to surrounding counties and so forth, to teach them how to teach their own people. Well, and it's actually not the county itself, it's private industry.
Right. So just as a follow-up, it's, you know, as successful as we have kind of developed this program, I'm thinking, what about the Job Corps system, right? Like, I don't know if you're familiar with the Job Corps program, Department of Labor, but they have these campuses where the federal government provide years worth of training, and it's just been reauthorized.
Right.
But that's somewhere, you know, if you have kind of the solution and it can be lifted and shifted,
Right.
perhaps that's another
Oh, yeah,
avenue.
these are all options that we're exploring and trying. And one of the limitations that we do face is residency. In order to work for the city of Philadelphia, you have to live in the city of Philadelphia. That's required in the civil service there. And right now, construction industry is great. So we're not getting a whole lot of good candidates because they're all working, right?
Right.
So even the retirees, like, so if they're in a trade union or if they just have their own business and they're retiring, the retirement packages are good enough, or they're consulting somewhere. They're not coming to us for code enforcement. So there's a little bit of a challenge there. That's where we're starting to look into kind of apprenticeship programs. To get better, we have to grow our own candidates because there's just nobody to choose from.
I mean,
Yeah, right.
We're live.
Mike, can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, I'm gonna drop this call and send it back to you. Jack wanted to just point out some things to them, so I'll disconnect this and call you when you leave out.
All right, you got it.
they're gonna reinitiate the link, because when everybody can see how this thing goes, when we start in the morning, inspectors will go and take out our link out in the spreadsheet, and just launch and cut it. And they'll see who they have to call. We'll call them in as a courtesy, as they have a virtual inspection scheduled for today. You are connected, it shows us a satellite view of who they are, and it documents it. It can be
So I could work for you from here, so I'm here.
Yeah, exactly.
So that quick, we know where he's at, and we now have one who was out there doing it, so go ahead.
Mike, let me just run this disclaimer for this presentation. All right, before this inspection, this is normally what we would say when we're doing the inspection, but before this inspection begins, please state your full name and physical address of your current location in which this inspection will be conducted. You don't gotta answer that, Mike, I just wanted to show them how that works before we start. But on that video.
Typical answer would be, my name is Michael Mazeko, the current location is 1420 Arch Street, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
And City Hall in the background, by the way. I'm glad you cleaned up my office.
All right, and Mike, on that video we got earlier, after reviewing it, we noticed there was no shoring in the trench. Just wanted to go over that with you.
That's correct. Yeah, I noticed that as well. They did have the shoring on site. They had dug the trench extra wide and it wasn't so deep, but I did ask them to stop work, put the shoring in place before they continued, and so they could go on from there.
Okay, all right, and we also noticed there was no trench in the street, so just was curious, was it a footway main out there and a footway sewer system?
Yes, it was. They were fairly new installs, probably within the last 10 years or so. But yeah, fortunately they were moved out of the street, so they weren't obstructing traffic or anything like that. And things were a pretty clean install for them.
All right, and did they just update you on how they were going to backfill that just for pedestrian safety?
Yeah, so we had done 2 vertical inspections before. This was our first time being on site, and in the vertical inspections they showed us that they backfilled it and then tamped it down with their excavator and then covered it with 3/4 inch clean fill, which we were able to document on site this time, but confirmed they were going to do that the same way as they had in the past.
All right, I appreciate that, Mike. Before I let you go, I want to show them how when we snap photos when we're on inspection, so you might want to give us a smile.
Who is that?
Mike, I appreciate your time.
For that one next week.
I appreciate your time, and thanks again.
All right, have a good one.
All right.
One of the things we did was we ran a pilot program where we took 12 homes, there were single family homes going up, and because we worked with our contractor, worked with the developer and ourselves, we go faster and better through time if we all work together, and it's not without issues and problems, but we were able to break ground and take all 12 of those units to settlements, not completion, but to settlements in under 6 months. These are 3-bedroom, 2-bath homes. We're in the middle of our second now, and our third also, I think it's now a commitment, Joe, correct?
What's that?
As we entered into our Germantown project, we're
Yes.
now, every quarter we're getting
A new project.
30 new homes.
Right.
So we have some more inspectors. Our training program, I also like to talk a little bit more about that. When our inspectors are in, they're learning what they need to do, and they'll start with their accessibility test. They'll go through the classes, they'll take the test. There's always going to be, they'll go from accessibility to maybe the IBC. So a gap in between, we rotate them out into the districts. You're going to be assigned to a district and attached to an inspector, you're going to go with them for 4 days or so. With the affordable housing, we've taken it and said, okay, we're doing the 12. I want to take 4 inspectors at a time. I'm giving you 4 framings, which is good. We can camp out there all day, but I want one of the units at the end of the day, and I want those 4 inspectors to take out inspector candidates in the building. You can clear your people, and they agreed to it. So we kept the building for 2 hours. So, okay, here's a set of drawings, open them up and tell me what I should be looking for. Tell me what you saw. Each one of them goes rotated through a framing inspection. It's not a test, just do what you saw, what you think, and we'll talk about it. So getting them into the field in between each one of their 7 certification tests is very important to us. In addition to certification, they have the OSHAs that they have to complete, and for us in the state of Pennsylvania, we all answer to Harrisburg and the UCC. So we require, or we would like to see our building inspectors become building code officials in the state of Pennsylvania. So that's the next level for the building inspector. Questions?
Who does the training, Jack? Is it seasoned inspectors, or do you guys have training teams?
So currently, we're restructuring the entire training program. We're gonna have, starting at 2 supervisor level, so you go from inspector to supervisor. We have 2, and then we're gonna have a 3rd one later as we expand the program. We have a manager, and we're currently in the process for hiring a director to, again, for the expansion of the program, looking for a facility, identifying what training needs we have, not just for new inspection staff, but for current staff. How do we train them? Document writing, how to document the permit inspection, to properly document all of the deficiencies. What did you look at? Same thing with when we write a violation for something, if they're working without a permit or extensive documentation. So these are all things. We're going to start a quality assurance program with these supervisors in the training unit, where that supervisor will go out every quarter, will go out to a building district, or to all the building districts actually, and ride along with the inspector. Now, it's not the supervisor of the inspector, so we know it's going to be objective. They're going to watch the inspector perform the job. They're going to, if there, of course, the life safety or major issues, they're going to point it out. But they're going to document every inspector they see, and then they're going to bring that information back. We're going to collect that data every quarter, and then that's where the manager director go, all right, well, we found that they're missing fire dampers in commercial properties. They're missing these valves on the fire suppression system. They're not placing the right, they're not identifying the correct fire pumps, wherever it may be. We need to design, develop a training, and now the supervisors and managers will get together, develop a training program on that material, and we'll administer to every single inspector and supervisor in all the districts. So that way, we're staying on top of where our deficiencies are. Because one of the, again, like Jack was saying, the city's so diverse. We have so many different types of buildings, a lot of residential, but we also have mixed commercial, we have high-rise buildings. You could be inspecting anything from a doghouse to a high-rise building in a day as an inspector. Some days you're not going to get constant practice in there. You might move to a section of the city where you're away from commercial work for a while. So these doing this training identification quarterly basis and having annual training for our inspection staff, we'll keep them up to date. So if we need to, at a moment's notice, move them to a different part of the city because the demand changes, they're up to speed and we have something there. Yeah.
So we have a question over here?
I do, thank you. So you mentioned that the photos that you take are stored in the software that you use?
That's not the software we use. The software we use is nothing more than the pipeline to the permit. The permit, we use Computronics. That's our main inspection software. This is an add-on. We use ViewSpecs. ViewSpecs allows us to take that photograph, capture it, and then it sends it to the permit. So it's there forever. In our line of business, we're in the observation. Yes or no, is this per the plans, is it gonna work? Documentation, as Joe had mentioned, it's very important. And I tell my contractors, don't mistake my kindness for a weakness. Every time I put a note on your drawing, I'm preparing to take you in front of a judge. Okay, and liability management. If we have an engineer that's responsible for something, we do not comment on it because when you're in front of a judge, everybody is responsible if they had comments there on what you actually saw. If an engineering firm is responsible for foundation walls and footers, then our comments would be, we verified the elevation, that's our part, and the engineer was on site and understood what he was there for.
Okay, I have a few more parts to it, sorry. Is the space that you have where the photos and everything is stored scalable, so if you have to add more, because you said it's there forever?
Well, the permits are alive, and in the city of Philadelphia, those permits can stay alive for 5 years.
Yes, we have virtual class storage and constantly. So all our data is stored just like every other, like all the data is. So we have drives, we have virtual. It all goes up in the cloud.
Our whole world.
So, but no, if we need to expand our storage, we expand our storage. We have a separate whole department for the IT. We have an office of information technology. So they monitor our storage needs. And so if we need more storage, they give us more storage. They're also involved in the design and implementation of the software system, how to interact, security measures, so that when we do connect to somebody's phone or device, it goes through a security protocol that our OIT's already set up. It's already set up through our system, through the portal, so they're not going to be. It'll stop anybody with that before, for the security measures. And OIT does that. We have enough to worry about with the building. We'll let our IT team worry about the security.
So also worth mentioning is, we have our IT people, we have all kinds of people that surround us. We have people, we have 8 lawyers that are on our payroll.
Something like that, yeah.
Oh boy. So in Philadelphia, it's very important because when you turn your TV on, you're either getting a new bathroom or you're suing somebody, even if you're not sure if you were in an accident. So, but our lawyers approve everything. We run notes past them. They put things in that we put into every verse. We have a statement that this inspection was conducted virtually, no on-site inspection was conducted. Regardless of the inspection verbiage, that statement goes on the bottom, nobody was on site.
And this is all owned by the city of Philadelphia, all your photos. I'm asking because I work
Yes.
for the city of LA and we have a large code enforcement program. It would be neat to implement something like this, but to go through all the checks and balances.
We could probably spend an entire day just on code enforcement because we have a lot of challenges in the industry. We are currently working with the State Attorney General's office with our enforcement efforts and our City of Philadelphia's District Attorney's office for criminal prosecutions. We're able to prosecute contractors and developers who are taking advantage of employees through what do you call it? What was that? It's worker misclassification. There's a whole slew of fraud and human trafficking laws. I don't know why I alluded to these, but through human trafficking laws that are enforced by the state of Pennsylvania at the state level, there are contractors who are taking advantage of employees. Maybe they might be undocumented. Some of them have visas, and they will exploit them and not pay them, or workers' compensation is a big thing. So the state has its own fund. You can get your own private insurance. I can go on for hours about all the fraud, but we're starting to get a relationship with that enforcement, with the state and the local authorities. Where Jack was saying, all the documentation and the way our software is, we store everything and then Jack and his team, we're eventually going to be using them to maybe go through some of the footage I have on sites that we feel that might be one of these players that are using misclassified workers that are involved in fraud, and we could use some of this technology with the helmet cams and and using even the cameras or whatever to record the video and have the people on site, and then we can still, that is now admissible in court. And we could use that information for, I mean, there's so many other options that we can use. There's so we can spend an entire day on this. So, yeah.
So we're actually at time now, so if you guys are open to staying later and continuing this, that's great, but I know folks may have other obligations, so feel free to sneak out or leave, but
I just have a quick question for both of you. So I always made the assumption that, when you have annual conferences from ICC or those types of organizations, part of that is sharing the leading practices and the software and the programs. But it seems like a lot of, maybe there's not enough time.
Yes.
What is the forum through which that you can share the best practices? And if there isn't one, then is anyone looking at that right now?
That's the thing, is I found from today, conversations with your team and stuff, is I think that through DIBS, I think this would be great, because we have obviously a lot to learn from LA, and they can learn a lot from us, for just different, just for example, your office of merging the state management, right? So they were using the drone technology. We came here hoping that we could get a hold of somebody who's using drone technology for something. Right. And talk to them like, oh, well, we use it for, earthquake assessments, aftermath. I said, okay, so it's just the reason why you're using it is different from why we would use, but at the end of the day, you're looking for structural stability, what is the damage caused to buildings and so forth.
Right.
we're still looking for the same thing, buildings, what's their condition? Just the why is different. And I think a lot of people don't put that together to put us in the same room to discuss how we're using it. Some of the permit stuff that you're talking about, I'm gonna talk to you after, so I get some questions, and then maybe some of the enforcement stuff, we wanna talk after, I'm available for that too, because I think we have a lot to learn from each other. I was talking to people earlier, even smaller sessions to bring municipalities together, how we're gonna do these things would be great, just to talk about it. And I've been to a lot of different conferences, and a lot of times it just seems like a lot of vendors trying to sell the products, or, hey, look at this code change, and there's not really, some of the conversations I had today were really refreshing to learn.
And if I could add on to that then, so for me, I've always been involved with like ICC, LA Basin chapter, right, the local chapters where they have committees, so I was the accessibility chair for, and then California Building Officials is another one, got accessibility training with them. So you're right, there's, because you're right, like, it doesn't make sense for each and every local jurisdiction, and of course, some of them are so small. But I will say that so many jurisdictions are strapped for employees and for resources, and it's very hard to get people to engage. So like now I'm on a City County Engineers Association, but really that one is just a kind of presentation every month, like a short presentation with a lunch. But really it's like, but how are the cities coming together? Like you said, there's a new assembly bill. How are we all gonna respond to this, right? So there are organizations out there, but I think the problem is so many cities and jurisdictions are strapped that how do you get people to do more, right? And be engaged and do something about the jobs that they have, ongoing struggles, okay, talk to them.
Basically, gonna keep coming up with new ideas, and that they got boxes, so.
Thank you.
LA County got 80 people.
I have a card if you wanna follow up with your pre-approved time question. I
Oh,
love
very nice.
that.
Yes,
Before I give you his card, but yeah, feel free to reach out. Absolutely, sorry about that.
I appreciate it. It's just, it should be working. I was thinking one safety, three major live streamers together.
Yeah.
Technology back for a 3-day, just, there's a lot to share, but we could set, I could set the whole group up in our labs, we'd be up in the 16th floor of the municipal services building, it's not a bad place to be. And you're right in the middle of, I expect everybody live streaming all day while we're discussing what are the advantages, where, you get inside it and see it. Plus, you take 10 companies using that view spec software, you want that developer in the room.
I know where I wanna work next. Accessibility training.
Yeah.